Welcome to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast, the go-to place for busy band directors who want practical to build programs while maintaining balance in their lives. This podcast is brought to you by the Empowered Music Educator Academy, where we help directors like you find efficiency, sustainability, and impact in your teaching and leadership. And speaking of impact, our platinum sponsor, Kennelly Keys Music, has been serving musicians with a commitment to quality, reliability, and exceptional service. Whether you need top-tier instruments, expert repairs, or trusted advice, they've got you covered. Now, let's dive in and set the tempo for success.
Welcome to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. I'm your host, Leslie Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. We know you don't have time to watch lengthy professional development webinars, so we bring you 20-minute tidbits with takeaways you can use to support you and help you thrive in this awesome career. And today's focus is for all of us, but especially either brand new band directors, or if you're like me, brand new to a new situation, having taught over 30 years in the high school and going to middle school. It felt like being a new teacher all over again. And I brought somebody in today who's you're going to want to hear from. This is like your cheat sheet for starting strong and staying sane. We're going to talk about things from classroom management to mental health and building sustainable, plannable routines with our guest today, Brittany Valente. She's bringing the exact advice she wishes somebody shared with her back when she started out on this. I became aware of her because, I'm 60 years old and I was on TikTok, I'll admit it. And I saw her stuff coming up, and she does these amazing short little videos with just packed full of information for people. And I'm like, where was this information when I was starting out? Well, it was the 1980s. We didn't have all these fancy tools, but we do now. And so I reached out, I stalked her a little bit on TikTok, and I said, look, I think you'd be great on here. And she has agreed to come with us today and take us through some of this, because she has been the new teacher, if you will, more times than she can count. And she's on a mission to demystify the early days, or the early years of band directing. Band directing, because she's walked the walk, and now she's sharing all these practical systems and mindset shifts and survival hacks that she's used and that she helps other new teachers use so they can stop spiraling and really thrive in this profession. And we were talking right before we started recording about, she's really helpful with especially those folks in the first 5 years, because that's such a critical time. And my God, the last 5 years of teaching have been pandemic and post-pandemic. And so I'm extremely grateful to have her here, because I think that she speaks to those people that may not stay in the profession if we don't give way more practical advice on how to do it now, because it's a hard job out there. So, gosh, Brittany, thanks so much for being willing to come here and talk to us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm just loving your videos, because you are no nonsense. You don't mess around, and you talk about practical things, not like theoretically the kids will do this, blah, blah. No, you are just down to earth, and here's how you do things. So today on our podcast, it's going to be like a speed round TikTok thing. Brittany's going to start talking about some different areas, and it'll kind of be like she's doing a little TikTok, and then we'll move to the next one, because that's such a valuable way for us to get her information, and she delivers it so well. So Brittany, before we start up, just give us a little of your background about you, and then I'm going to start asking you some questions.
Sure. So I am right now teaching as a K-4 general music chorus and band teacher. I started with the mindset that I was going to be a middle school band director my entire life. And then I jumped into my first position, which was pre-K-6 general music and band. So I had two bands on top of it. So I had to really figure out that first year. And it was not a great year. It was like staying up at work until 7 p.m. and writing lesson plans at home and not being able to find the work-life balance. And then you have grad school on top of it, if grad school is a requirement where you are. So it was really important to me as I started developing my TikToks and seeing what new teachers were needing, that I create something that was usable and helpful this day and age.
Cool. Well, it definitely is. So let's just jump right in, and we're going to talk about a little scenario, and then you talk to us about it. Like, so before the kids even arrive, it's like, congratulations, you got a new job. School starts pretty soon. Holy crap. What do you do? Talk to us.
So in my experience, in the 3 jobs that I've started, I've come up with like a general list of things that I need as a band director. So the first is coming up with what you have, the things you need, and then what people you need to get there. So there are the things that you're going to walk into your band room and know that, okay, I have these instruments, I have this music, but do I have a curriculum? Do I know what kids are going to be in my group? And how am I going to figure that out? So if I were to look for the first thing, it would be figuring out who I can go to ask questions. So is it an administrator? Is it a coworker? Is it someone who knows a lot about the band program in general? Is it a parent? Once you find that first person, you can start figuring out some of those big things first. And then from there, I have a list of the things that I would tackle. There's the instruments and rentals. There's the music library. Do you have some sort of curriculum somewhere that you need to figure out what you're supposed to be teaching, especially if you are a feeder program, passing students on and they need to be at a certain level by the time they're done with you? Any sort of classroom management rules and procedures, that's figuring out your space and then figuring out the rules and routines to make your time most efficient, because we never have time as band directors. Any sort of calendar things, when are all of your concerts? When are you expected to show up and do said things? Any sort of staff that you need to know or networking you need to do with people in the community, the schedule, and then systems to keep track of all of the things. So I would take a look at all of those things and then figure out the things that are most pressing to you. For me, I'm most concerned about getting instruments out to kids, because that's going to be one of the main parts of our jobs, especially if we are providing instruments for students. Districts do lots of different things. So if that's the case, I want to see what my entire inventory is like. I need to play every instrument unless there was a really good inventory listed down. And then from there, figure out the next thing that needs to be worked on. It doesn't need to be everything all at once, but if you determine an order based on what's most important to you or what's most pressing, it can start to reduce the anxiety of, oh my God, it's everything, and change it to, this is the next step for me.
So you're saying that a brand new teacher shouldn't go out and do their whole year-long scope and sequence and all those things right off the bat?
No, and things are going to change once you meet the kids too. No. You could do that whole thing. I know it took me like halfway through my second year where I was like, maybe I need to see where they are before I make these grand plans. Because you can make tremendous plans and you meet them on the first day and it's entirely different than what you've been told, because some people have grand disillusion of what the kids are actually able to do. So yeah, you don't want to throw everything all at once and plan everything to a T. And in fact, I would say the opposite. Hold very loosely onto things, knowing that it's going to change.
Yeah. But you're right. There are some things you really need to think through before those kids come in the classroom. And also the procedure piece. I mean, you can't underestimate the value of thinking through the procedures you're going to have for kids for everything, from walking into the classroom to getting instruments out to putting things away and all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The best thing I know that I do when I go into a new space is I pretend take those instruments with me. And I walk and try to do every step that I'm expecting for my kid. And that's going to help you figure out the design element of your room. Not like the really pretty, I'm going to make everything glittery and everything's going to be the same color, which is what we love to do when we don't know what we're doing as a new teacher. We always imagine our band room's going to look like this, or we're going to do this with our kids. But then you get there and realize I'm going to not actually use any of this stuff. I really need to just figure out what my kids need to do and how to establish really good flow in my room with just the space itself.
Can't overestimate the importance of that. Because if you don't have haven't thought that through, then it becomes chaotic.
Yes.
Crazy. So, yeah. So that's awesome. So once we get started, okay, now school has just gotten started. We got a new teacher in the driver's seat. What are a couple of things here you can offer?
I think when you are actually there and you're in front of kids, the most important things are establishing those routines for your students, not just routines for students, but also routines for yourself, and then developing really good relationships with kids. You already know how to teach from student teaching, or at least a little bit. In fact, coming out of a program of some sort, you're going to have a lot of that actual teaching knowledge already there. That's not the stuff you need to work on. But trying to figure out things you can do with your students to build relationships just between you and the student, to cultivate some sort of culture amongst the group of students. I don't want to say it's a them versus you thing, but coming into a new program, it's really easy to feel like you are the odd one out when you have 50 kids in front of you who are used to a different system or used to different things. So taking the time at the beginning of the school year to build relationships, do some team building things, not necessarily playing right away, will be really beneficial. But on the other half of that, you want to build strong routines for kids, non-negotiables that are like, this is how we're going to put our instruments together. This is how we're going to start our day. This is what's going to help us to be more efficient with our time.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
Yeah. And then when we're talking about routines for yourself, you're figuring out your schedule as much as your kids are. So when you have your schedule, you're going to figure out the blocks of time where you're able to get things done. And it's really easy as a new teacher to stay really late. It's really easy to come in really early. And it takes some time to figure out how to use your time effectively. I found that planning my time, so I know exactly what I'm doing in each of my blocks of prep, have been so helpful, even now as an older teacher, I would say. I mean, I'm not super old, but I've been in it for a while, and I need to know exactly when I'm going to plan for this lesson. So that way I'm not feeling that anxiety in the morning of, okay, I don't have this done. When's it going to happen? No, it's going to happen at 1:50 on Tuesday, and it's going to get done.
Yep. And the other piece on that for me was, for a long time, I fought my prime work time. I'm very much a morning person, but I would come home from work and then try to do the things that took the mental load. And it was so hard because I was too tired. So learning to, when can I grab those times when my brain functions best at decision making or at this, and then do those tasks during that time. And that's another thing for me that's just super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right. And then talk to us a little bit about, after you've done the first year, and like talking about the importance of reflecting and adjusting as you go, and beyond building the relationships with students. I know you talk about the importance of mentors and the colleagues.
Yeah. Having someone who is a trusted person that you can go to ask questions about anything. It doesn't have to be someone who is assigned to you. I don't know what the rules are elsewhere. In New York State, you have to have a mentor for the first year. In some regard, and typically, and it's been in every single building that I've been in, that they have made that a mandatory, or some sort of new teacher something. But if it's not that person who is able to help you, you still have colleagues you can rely on. You can reach out to college people. You can reach out to someone who is in another building. As long as you're able to talk with someone who is able to tell you you're not crazy, or at least be a sounding board. They might not have all of the solutions, but they might just be someone who can be there when you have so many things that you're working out. And it helps with the decision fatigue too, because I know that was one thing that was really tough in my first year. My first year, of course, again, we're talking the 80s and 90s, we couldn't connect with other people. So it was whoever was in your building was pretty much it, because we didn't have even the cell phones or anything. And now I think as new teachers, you're not just limited to the people in your building. We have this amazing thing, Zoom, phones, instant messaging, whatever it takes to find the people that will help. I mean, music teachers are so generous with our time and sharing our ideas and stuff. We want to help each other. And so being open to that, it's hard because you got kind of an ego you got to build up as a new teacher, and asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Right? My entire year of COVID, I had been given a new title, and it was my second year of teaching during COVID. So I was meeting with an almost retired teacher and then someone in the middle of their career on Zoom every week, because we were the ones just trying to listen to each other and just figure it out. And it was so helpful.
Well, I got a couple more questions for a little lightning round here at the end. But first, I want to take just a minute to shout out our podcast sponsors, the Empowered Music Educator Academy and Kennelly Keys Music. If you're listening to this while thinking about everything still on your to-do list, I see you. One of the reasons I started building tools alongside this podcast was because even the best strategies don't help you if you're too exhausted to implement them. That's exactly why I created Band Director Buddy GPT. It's a productivity and wellness tool designed to think like a successful band director and support the real work behind the scenes, the planning, emails, scheduling, and problem solving, and more, so you can amplify your impact without increasing your workload. If you're a busy band, choir, or orchestra teacher who wants a sustainable way to do this job, you can learn more at banddirectorbuddy.com. All right, we are back with Brittany talking about all things everybody who's going into teaching band for their first 5 years, especially, really should be paying close attention to. And again, I'm paying close attention to because it's got a lot of great stuff that I'm even learning from and being reminded of. So let's do this little lightning round. Give us
Sure.
what's a piece of advice that you would turn around and give yourself as a first-year teacher now? First, most important.
I'm going to give a few, like really fast though.
Okay, that's fine.
Everything is forgivable. If you kept your kids alive, everything is forgivable in the first year. You can look back and you will forgive yourself, even if you make mistakes. Lower the bar. I write that on a sticky note every year for myself. Lower the bar, because sometimes it's real high. If you lower it, they will at least achieve it, and then you can make things harder from there. And then treat yourself like you treat a student. Be reflective. Don't punish yourself. And it's okay to be wrong and apologize. Even if it's a kid, if it's an adult, you can fix things. Things are not ever, everything is forgivable in that first year and beyond.
And to be able to look at things and say, I grew from this, or I learned something from here. Because, you said when things go, or if things go wrong, and they will, oh my gosh, every year things will go sideways in spite of all the things you do. So you have to be as prepared as you can be. But then as musicians, we have to be able to improvise within that too.
Right. And confidence comes from experience, and experience comes from you doing some really silly things. It's going to happen.
Yes, I'm still learning, and I've taught over 33,000 classes in my career. And there are still things I've got to, it's like I started doing the math recently. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot. It is a lot.
That's awesome.
33,000 times I took attendance. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. So tell us, is there like a specific system that you couldn't survive without? Like I've got my breathing routine that we will do no matter what. I mean, it's just, that helps my students tremendously.
I don't know. Wow. I'm not prepared for that one.
That's okay.
Specific system. Yeah. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
How do you tell us how you teach your students, beginning band kids who've never played before? How would you set them up to, on the first day of class, to know what to expect, like to just give them an overview? What kinds of things would you do to talk about with them so they could get an idea?
Definitely. I always try to give some level of prep of just like, this is what you're going to experience in the next 30 minutes, not only in the entire school year. And then walk them through what the year looks like. It's going to be singing. It's going to be moving. And that's not really common for a lot of band people, but that's what we do in my room. Give them all of the stuff before they knew it. Do you know the Phyllis Weichert say and do sequence? She's a PE teacher.
Show me. Is it see? How's it go? If I see
it's
it,
like,
and then if you show me.
Oh no, I think that's a different quote. Okay. Phyllis Weichert was a PE teacher, and she does a lot of like folk dance movement and lots of those things. So music people tend to use her a lot, especially on the general music end. And she does a lot of, we're going to introduce this thing. We're going to say and do it. Then we're going to whisper and do it. Then I'm going to narrate as you do it. And then you're going to do it on your own. So that's been really helpful to me as I've been like setting students up. And it's like, okay, I'm going to give you this is what we're going to do. You're going to say and do it. You're going to whisper to it. You're going to audiate and do it. You're going to do it on your own. And I'm going to give you feedback, or you're going to do it on your own and you're going to self-assess. So I do a lot of that in my room too.
Oh, that's a great teaching technique. It teaches them how to practice too, because you're going to do something, do it again and do it. Yeah. Very cool. And that's also, you were talking about giving the kids the big picture. And then, but then now let me tell you how we're going to break it down too. I think kids are like us. They want to kind of know what's going on, but now what do I need to do right now? Right. Absolutely. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's always, it's not like it hasn't been on the board every day when you've walked in here for 3 years. Now you still have to ask me, but they do have that sense of urgency. So communicating it with them. Today, we're going to learn how to put our instruments together and put them back in a case. Right. That was what, just knowing that. I mean, it sounds, the learning targets we hate to put up, but sometimes it is just, what are we going to do today? What activity? Yes. What are we going to learn? So Anyway,
99% of my classroom management is like, I don't want a kid to ask me a question about it. So I really try to anticipate everything. Yes.
Preempting it. Perfect. And then like, if you had a hard day, I mean, unlikely in, band director world, but if you had a hard day, how do you get up and go back the next day when it's just been brutal and you got to go back and do it again? How do you reset?
Oh my gosh, there's been so many bad days, I think I find a lot of lately, and in this new school that I've been in for the last few years, I have a lot of great coworkers. And it's been really nice to go to them and be like, are your kids off the walls? Are they driving you nuts too? And it's usually the consensus is, yeah, they're always like this. But having trusted people to really let out what I need to let out in a trusted space has been the best. And then when I go home, I'm not doing anything work-wise for, the next 6 hours or however long I'm awake. I'm not thinking about work. I am doing things of my own interest. I'm doing my hobbies. When I have learned to be able to put it away, I've been able to come back fresh. And that will give me the patience to see another group of kids the next day. And really, like, it's a new group of kids. Those kids are just learning. I need a break. They need a break from me. And then I'll see them next week and we'll try again.
Yeah, I would stew on stuff when it would go bad and it would ruin my whole evening and the next day. And then I'd get up like, I got to fix the world. And the kids would be like, why, what happened? Oh yeah, whatever. And I was like,
yeah.
I can't taking this. It's only high school band. I had to keep saying to myself, stop getting so worked up about this.
It is.
But at the same time, it's an important thing that kids are doing and you want to handle it all well. So, these are really great practical tools. Look, you guys, if you haven't seen Brittany Valente on TikTok, we're going to put her link in the comments in the show notes for you. So you can go check it out, check out little tidbits, the longer stuff, share it with your music teacher friends, give them this great resource so that they too can experience being a music teacher and having the tools they need to do it sustainably and make it a little more fun. Hey, thanks, Brittany. This has been a lot of fun to meet the real person behind the TikToks.
Yeah, thank you for guiding me. Again, I just went full blank. So thank you for being an excellent host and for having me.
Yeah, well, we were happy to have you. We've learned a lot, and I'm sure folks are going to be looking you up. So that's a wrap on this episode of Band Director Boot Camp. Thanks to our guest, Brittany, and to all of you out there who keep showing up to teach music every day. Remember, success in music education is not just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and making systems that work for you. Thanks for listening, and keep making a difference in kids' lives through the magic of music education. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to work harder to be effective. You just need better support. Band Director Buddy GPT was created for music educators who care deeply about their programs but are tired of carrying everything alone. It's there to help you think through challenges, streamline the busy work, and protect your time and energy without lowering your standards. If that sounds like what you've been craving, head to banddirectorbuddy.com to explore how it works and decide if it's a good fit for you. Thanks for listening to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast and for the work you do every single day.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Band Director Bootcamp podcast. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. The Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you do just that. So be sure to check out our resources at empowerededucator.com. And of course, a huge thank you to Kennelly Keys Music, our platinum sponsor, for their unwavering support of music educators like you. Whether you need instruments, accessories, or expert advice, their team is ready to help. Thanks for listening and keep making music happen.